angry at Israel. They said peace, and I said we're gonna do peace, and they're launching, and I'm sick of them. Israel, you better not do it. You don't do it, Israel. I said peace. You don't do it.
He looked like a dad who had kids that were fighting in the backyard, and he was just going back and forth. He's just like, Israel, shut up, baby, come on.
We are truly coming off a historic week of President Trump racking up win after win on behalf of the American people. President Trump restored peace through strength and acted decisively as commander-in-chief to obliterate the immediate threat of the Iranian regime's nuclear capabilities and then brokered a ceasefire.
It began like any other political appearance. Bright lights, rolling cameras, and a rising young conservative starlet poised to seize her big moment. But what Karoline Leavitt didn't know was that she was walking straight into an unseen trap. On the other side of the conversation stood Trevor Noah, a man who can dismantle an argument the way a locksmith opens a flimsy lock, effortlessly, precisely, and without breaking a sweat. What followed wasn't just a roast. It was the political equivalent of a demolition derby, with Karoline's credibility serving as the battered car. And when the dust settled, one thing was undeniable. This wasn't merely about her. It was about the entire Trump-era playbook collapsing under the sheer weight of its own emptiness.
Very seldom have I looked at Trump and thought, yeah, I can relate to this. But he came out after Israel was about to launch a full-scale bombing attack on Iran. And he came out, he heard about this. Man didn't even put on a tie. Came out of the White House half-dressed, ran straight into reporters, and he went into it. He was like, I heard about what Iran is doing and what Israel is doing, and let me tell you, I'm angry at Iran.
What the CIA director said, that when we look at the entirety of the intelligence that we have to this date, it concludes that these strikes on the Iranian nuclear facilities were absolutely successful.
Karoline arrived armed with slogans, the kind that play perfectly in MAGA Facebook groups, but fall apart the moment they face real questions. She carried herself with the confidence of someone who'd been told their whole life they were different, special, destined for greatness. But Trevor Noah didn't just challenge her talking points. He dissected them under a microscope, revealing there was nothing beneath the surface. And here's where it got even juicier. This wasn't just a rough day for Karoline. Every empty phrase she tossed out was a mirror of Donald Trump's own style. Loud, proud, and completely fact-free. By the time Trevor was finished, one truth was impossible to ignore. If this is the next generation of Trump loyalists, the movement is running on fumes.
Question, is reporting on this administration actually fun? Because this is some real serious shit that we dealing with. So is it, do you look at it? Can you make a joke out of this?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, I'm not gonna give Donald Trump the pleasure of being the boogeyman.
Right.
You know what I mean? He wishes he was that guy. That's why he's got that face. The thing he does. No, seriously, he wants to be that dude where everyone's like, wow, I'm so afraid of him.
But look, the administration has always maintained the position that anyone who illegally crosses our nation's borders is subject to deportation. That's just the law of the land.
Trevor never raised his voice, never got emotional, and that's exactly what made it so devastating. His calm dismantling of Karoline's arguments was surgical, each line crafted to strip away the polished exterior and expose the cheap plastic beneath. Karoline had braced for a shouting match. Instead, she received a quiet masterclass in what happens when style collides with substance and substance wins. For Trump, who thrives on volume and chaos, moments like this are pure poison. They lay bare the reality that beneath all the bluster, there's nothing there. And as Karoline's words unraveled in real time, you could almost hear the faint crack of Trump's political armor in the background. This was a glimpse of his worst nightmare, being defeated by calm, cold truth.
And you gotta laugh at the guy. You know what I'm saying? You've got to laugh at people like him, because I think leaders like that sometimes they command or they demand a respect that they don't deserve.
Right.
And in my honest opinion, that's one of the great things you can do to leaders like this is you laugh.
The president has now ended conflicts between Thailand and Cambodia, Israel and Iran, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, India and Pakistan, Serbia and Kosovo, and Egypt and Ethiopia. This means President Trump has brokered, on average, about one peace deal or ceasefire per month during his 6 months in office.
The internet smelled blood almost instantly. Within hours, clips of Trevor's precise takedown were flooding Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. But here's the kicker. No one was talking about Karoline's message anymore. They were talking about the moment her confidence shattered. That split second when her rehearsed lines stopped landing and her expression shifted from "I've got this" to "How do I get out of here?" For Trump world, this was dangerous. Karoline wasn't just another Republican hopeful. She was one of the loudest Gen Z voices defending Trump's every move. Watching her crash and burn so publicly wasn't just embarrassing, it was a warning. If Trevor Noah can dismantle you this easily, imagine what happens when the real heat hits during election season.
I feel like Trump would be exactly the same even if he spoke Arabic. It would be like the same thing. He'd be like,
And make no mistake, Trevor wasn't just roasting Karoline for laughs. Every jab was a precisely aimed hit at the heart of Trump's brand, the belief that confidence and charisma can stand in for facts and logic. Karoline's unraveling became a living metaphor for the entire MAGA machine, loud at the start, muddled in the middle, and running on empty by the end. This is why the moment went viral. Not simply because people enjoy political comedy, though they certainly do, but because it revealed a truth even Trump's most devoted supporters hate to acknowledge. When the performance ends and the slogans dry up, there's nothing left. And when that happens, not even Trump can save you.
in the United States of America, if you want to win an election, all you need to have is a strange voice. Simple as that. You want to be president of the United States? Get a strange voice, you're done. Yeah, forget policies, forget ideas, that's boring. You come out there with a strange voice, the people love it. You realize there's been no American president who has a normal speaking voice, none. Trump, that was the weirdest of all. Every other American president is predictable. You know, you understood the ebb and flow.
Karoline thought she was stepping into a friendly sparring match. Toss a few barbs at liberal elites, flash a confident smile, and ride the MAGA applause train. But Trevor Noah wasn't there to play. He was there to expose. And every time Karoline leaned on a Trump-style exaggeration, Trevor countered with something far more dangerous for her: reality. It's the one thing Trump loyalists can't stand, because reality doesn't bend to applause lines or flag-waving theatrics. It just sits there, undeniable. As the minutes dragged on, Karoline's political armor began to look more like tinfoil under a blowtorch. The unspoken message was deadly clear. If you can't defend your own words, maybe you shouldn't be speaking at all.
The volume on his voice all over the place, inflection where it didn't make sense. Do you know how hard it was to figure out where to put the volume on your TV when watching a speech? Because you wouldn't know where it would happen. He'd be up there.
I think as Americans, we try and try, so try, big trying, all trying, and it is surging. But I know, and I think, if we can, what we won't, but we will, but maybe, but.
What? And that's what changed for me. Is I then when Donald Trump was elected and then proceeded to do the things that he had promised, ironically, right? Because I mean, that's funny that like Donald Trump would be the first presidential candidate to actually deliver. Hate him or love him, he's doing the things that he said he was going to do.
Then came the moment that will haunt Karoline for years: the pause. Trevor asked a sharp, simple question, and she froze. No quick comeback, no rehearsed line, just silence. The camera caught the flicker of panic in her eyes, and that silence did more damage than any insult could. It was the sound of a political brand deflating in real time. Trump built his career on never pausing, never showing weakness. But in that instant, Karoline looked exactly like what critics say Trump world produces: performers who crumble without a script.
The Trump Organization has been found guilty of 17 counts of tax fraud and other financial crimes. And you know what that means? Donald Trump is going to prison! to visit all the lower ranking people who did this without his knowledge or his permission. Yeah, because we all know that's how that works in the world, right? All the successes in Trump's organization, they're due to the genius of Donald Trump. All the crimes, he had no idea. It's like, that's right, folks. I have zero control over this.
Given that you noted he is a successful businessman, do you know if the president has any plans to meet with any of the folks involved with any of the family businesses over there, or see any of the sites that are going to be
Not to my knowledge, and let me just get to the premise of your question that both of you have raised. I think it's frankly ridiculous that anyone in this room would even suggest that President Trump is doing anything for his own benefit. He left a life of luxury and a life of running a very successful real estate empire for public service, not just once, but twice. This is a president who has actually lost money for being president of the
By the time the segment ended, it wasn't just a loss, it was a public unmasking. Karoline's rapid-fire MAGA slogans had devolved into desperate filler. Trevor didn't need to finish her off. She was doing it herself. And that's where the danger for Trump comes in. If his future stars crumble under basic questioning, the whole MAGA bench is weak. That's not just bad optics, it's a strategic disaster. Politics is a game of perception, and the takeaway fear was brutal. Trump's machine is producing loud voices with shaky foundations, and once that foundation cracks, the whole empire starts to wobble.
Donald Trump wants his wall. He needs $25 billion the last time he asked. He needs it from American taxpayers because Mexico is smart. That fell apart real quick. I remember how confident he was at the rallies, people cheering for him. He was like, folks, we're gonna build. We're gonna build a wall, folks. Who's gonna pay? Mexico. And Mexico was like, we ain't paying for shit, man.
The online reaction hit like a tidal wave. Left-leaning accounts mocked the performance, while conservatives scrambled to spin it as media bias. But here's the harsh truth for Trump. Laughter kills credibility. Once you're a punchline, it's nearly impossible to be taken seriously again. And Trevor didn't just turn Karoline into a punchline, he made her a symbol of MAGA's weakness. The memes didn't need to mention Trump. Audiences had already made the connection. Karoline wasn't just a failed guest. She was a preview of the chaos waiting for Trump in 2024.
Every time Donald Trump or Melania speak, it seems like they're throwing shade at each other. They're giving a speech, but they're actually talking trash about the spouse. Every time, all you have to do is listen to the subtext of what they're saying. And she was like, as First Lady, I believe we need to fight against the cyberbullying. All of the people on the Twitter who are saying the bad things, we need to stop them. We need to make sure that they cannot carry on what they're doing. Donald Trump was sitting in the living room, turned on the lights. Hi, Melania. I saw what you said about me on the news. It was very not nice.
And that's the part that should make Trump sweat. For years, he's thrived in chaos, using it to keep critics off balance. But this wasn't chaos, it was clarity. Trevor Noah's calm, precise dismantling of Karoline was a blueprint for taking down Trumpism itself. No shouting, no endless back and forth, just exposing the emptiness behind the brand. The irony? Trump loves media attention, but in moments like this, attention becomes the enemy. Every replay of Karoline's collapse is a quiet reminder that MAGA's warriors aren't ready for real scrutiny. And if that's true, the next big political battle could end with Trump watching his movement collapse live on air.
On the show?
No, we never did.
He did say some bad things about you on.
I don't know. I don't keep up with it.
Yeah, I do. I keep up with it. Yeah,
Yeah, but you have like a feud with him. You have like a real. So here's what I've noticed. Like Trump's annoyance at people is directly proportional to how big they were when he like focused on the media. Does that make sense?
I see. Yeah, right.
So like Time Magazine is still the biggest thing in his life, and then obviously Jimmy Kimmel, SNL. If they insult him, he gets really angry about it.
Yeah.
I'm so new to him that he's just like, that guy. You know what I mean?
I have a little extra something with him because he used to really like me. I'm not sure exactly why.
Trump has always sold himself as the master dealmaker, the man who surrounds himself with the best people. But Karoline's implosion made one thing painfully clear. If this is his idea of the best, the bar is buried in the floor. Her collapse wasn't just a bad interview. It was a televised stress test of the Trump brand, and it failed spectacularly. You can almost picture Trump at Mar-a-Lago, muttering about fake news while quietly realizing his empire is full of glass cannons, flashy and loud, but shattering the moment they're hit with reality. And if Trevor Noah can break them apart without raising his voice, what happens when real political opponents bring the full arsenal? That's not leadership, that's liability.
Week, ladies and gentlemen, for Donald Trump's presidency. Not only is there a looming shutdown, but he's also coming up on his first 100 days in office. Yes, and his first 1,800 holes played. But shutdown or not, Trump is desperate to deliver on at least one of his...
The president cares about American lives. And as I just said on television, there's a lot of talk about the markets. There's a lot of talk about, the cost of goods. This administration is wholeheartedly committed to bringing down the cost of living in this country. You see that through deregulation, through the energy actions this president has taken, and also through his commitment to cutting taxes. But when it comes to the cost of an American life, I think for those of us who have children, there's not enough money in the world to bring back the lives that have been lost because of the illegal drug and border crisis. And the president is committed to ensuring that Canada and Mexico and China understand that the United States...
The real sting for Trump is that Trevor didn't just embarrass Karoline. He used her as a case study in the hollowness of the entire MAGA movement. Every clumsy talking point she delivered was a recycled fragment of Trump's own speeches, stripped of context and logic. And when challenged, it collapsed under its own weight. This wasn't just a rookie political hopeful being outmatched. It was proof that Trump's next generation is nothing more than an echo chamber of his half-truths. And here's the devastating part. Once the public sees the script, the magic trick is over. No rally, no all-caps tweet can hide the fact that the curtain's been pulled back and the wizard is nothing but smoke and mirrors.
And the reason I say this is because Trump came out and he hosted a press conference about it. It was so wild. He hosted a press conference about dropping the bombs. And he was shocked in the press conference. He came out and he's like,
earlier today, the United States military, that's us, launched missiles, bunker busters, launched missiles on Iran, on all their nuclear facilities. And boy, you don't understand. You've never seen bombs like that before. They came down and they dropped them, those bombs. Well, I couldn't believe what those bombs were doing. I couldn't believe it. And I called. I'm the one who called. I said, drop the bombs. I didn't know I was gonna call. I said 2 weeks. I told everybody 2 weeks. It was gonna be 2 weeks. And then I was on the plane. Then I said, I'm calling. Drop the bombs. And the bombs were dropped. I'd never seen bombs like that. I said, whoa, we're never dropping bombs like that again. I never seen bombs like that. Those bombs were dropped, and now it's over. We're all good.
and so now because America had dropped bombs on them, then Iran had to respond, but then Iran didn't want to get into a fight. No one wants to get into a fight with America, you know what I mean? And so like Iran was like, we are going to retaliate against you. And then they launched missiles at an American base in Qatar, but then they phoned America first.
In the age of viral clips, moments like this don't fade, they loop endlessly online until they harden into political reality. Karoline's deer-in-the-headlights moment will live on as the blueprint for dismantling Trump loyalists, and you can bet opponents are taking notes. The worst part for Trump? The hit didn't come from a hardened political rival, it came from a comedian. That kind of humiliation can't be spun away. If a late-night host can so easily gut his defender's credibility, what chance does he have against prepared adversaries on a debate stage? The answer is simple: almost none. For a man obsessed with image, becoming a punchline is lethal. Trump's brand thrives on projection. Act strong, talk big, never admit defeat. But Karoline's loss played out in HD, exposing every crack in the armor. She didn't just lose an argument, she lost the illusion. And when one soldier in the movement loses the illusion, it chips away at the whole army. This symbolism was brutal. The young, media-savvy face of Trumpism dismantled in under 15 minutes with the world watching. This wasn't an isolated embarrassment, it was proof the emperor has no clothes and neither do his apprentices. If Trevor Noah can do this with a smile, imagine what happens when prosecutors, journalists, and political rivals sharpen their knives. For Trump, this isn't just bad press, it's a prophecy. Every movement has a breaking point, the moment the myth unravels faster than it can be repaired. For him, this could be it. His future stars are floundering, his rhetoric is stale, and his opponents now have the playbook to dismantle his brand calmly, methodically, and publicly. Karoline's downfall wasn't a fluke, it was a warning shot. And if Trump can't protect the illusion, he can't protect the movement. Once that truth sinks in, even his most loyal supporters might start heading for the exit.